So Cody, starting out, man, we've done a few podcasts together. I believe the last one we did was right before All-State, correct?
Correct. July.
And back in July, a lot of good responses from that video. I think, when we do stuff like that, I think it's real educational too to see, kind of the coach's point of view. So moving forward with that kind of that mentality, man, you had a hell of a season this year, man. What I enjoy about watching you coach is sometimes I think you're able to convince people they can go a little bit farther, a lot farther. You know what I mean? And your mentality, you start off the season, hey, it's state. We're going to win state. I know we can win state, and then we end up winning dual state. You know what I mean? What in your mind went through that process, and what's some key things you had to do to, make that dream a reality?
Dude, I don't know, just a lot of things I said when I first came in here about like the very first year, and it's farce to say it being in the same class with Tuttle and some of the powerhouses we were in with, but man, I wanted to win. I expected to win. I was trying to convince these kids that we could compete at the highest level, and we had a few kids that could compete at that high level, but as a team we weren't there yet. And I don't know, just me, as far as me growing as a coach and trusting that whole process of just our program growing and being at the point where, this year, looking at it, I meant it more than I ever meant it, looking at them kids starting day one of preseason. Hey, we're going to win a state championship this year if we do everything right and if we work hard and if we start envisioning it now, and that's something that was just huge for me growing up as an athlete, just seeing things come into reality in front of me, and I can't tell you how many times I sit there, whether if I'm working out or just daydreaming or envisioning something, how many times I've envisioned that moment of seeing my team win a state championship, seeing myself as a coach and seeing my staff celebrate a state championship, and it was awesome. It was cool, and to see the way the kids reacted and responded and just bought in. We talked about that a lot in our previous podcast, getting kids to buy in and to believe in the whole system here. And more than ever, we have kids that believe and bought in. It's cool. We're in a good place.
For district championship, it didn't go our way, but we ended up still going. Do you want to touch on that any at all? Or?
Yeah, it ended up, man, number 1 and number 2 team in the state are in the same district, which was unfortunate, but it is what it is, and it was a good duel, and just ended up they wrestled a wrestler that wasn't supposed to wrestle, and it changed the outcome of the duel, and in the end it changes the whole dynamics of things, and not how you want things to play out, but in the end we try to make sure we do everything right. Kids try to make sure they do everything right, and we took full advantage of it, and we're able to go capture a state championship. It was awesome.
I think one thing that about that, Cody, is I think our, the attitude going into that stuff, you'd already kind of talked to us coaches and just said, look, this ain't going to define our season either way. We still got a full season. We got a season to finish. Going in, after it didn't go our way, talking to them, I think we was, still in the right mindset.
Yeah.
Having that positive mindset, that was good for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Like just trying to jump on, not talk over you, but jump onto the same thing as we were just in the move on, perseverance mindset, next thing forward, just how we were the whole entire season. And it's just, like I said, the things we try to instill around here as far as mindset, just things don't go your way in a match. They don't go your way in a season. They don't go your way in life. Just bounce back and get ready to go for the next thing.
Cool.
And we had a fantastic weekend after that. I ended up winning the Carl Albert tournament.
Yep.
And that was cool. That was like a very big moment for our team. I feel like we came together and wrestled really well, won some big matches, and winning some of those matches at the Carl Albert tournament was crucial for us because it gave us good seeding at regionals. And when you have good seeding at regionals, you're able to get off with a good first round, a good second round, and push those kids into position to qualify. So it was just it was a good moment for our team. The Carl Albert tournament was. We beat some really good teams, and when I saw that, it just kind of helped reconfirm, we can go win this thing.
So, Speck, you have anything you want to add in there?
No, I just think, kind of showed the things that you're doing in this room as far as building mental toughness to kind of go through that kind of low of that losing that duel, rebound real quickly, and come to that Carl Albert tournament, team champions. Just kind of showed the perseverance of our kids and what kind of their mindset was for the rest of the season.
Absolutely.
As far as when the news come in, Cody, that we was going, how did you present that to the team?
I mean, we was just straight up with them. They kind of already knew that. I mean, just something was in that whole situation, and he just said, "Hey, we need to go beat Southeast. We had another duel with Southeast. We need to go win that, and just back to training. We trained hard that day. Kids trained a little bit harder, just kind of a new life, and like I said, new life. But it was still go back to practice, keep working, do all the right things, get ready for the next event." Because we had a good Carl Albert tournament. Then we went and took one from Marlowe on Tuesday. So It's the highs and lows of the season that we talk about a lot. And there's no excuses. We went and took one from them. Yeah. I think we can match up better in situations and get better results from that duel. Yes, but no, we didn't. We went and took one on a Tuesday, and it is what it is. Not in our class, a team that doesn't matter when it comes to the state tournament, but I want to win every one of them.
No, 100%.
And he does a fantastic job over there. Just in the end, the results speak for themselves. Like I said, I love my team and I love the way they work hard, and I'll do every single thing I can and always fight for them.
Amen. We're 8 districts, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so the top guy of each district goes, and then there's 8 teams at dual districts, correct?
Yep.
Our first match, what did you think about that?
So Pryor was our first match, and is East Side team. And always when you're wrestling an East Side team, it's just we don't see them throughout the season, so it's kind of a mystery a little bit. But I did a lot of research and went and saw just film and common opponents and all that, and I knew going into the duel, if we did not take care of business in a couple of weights, that we could be in trouble. And not a lot of people probably knew that. Just looking at it, like on paper, in every single duel, we were not favored to win. Like we had to do some things. We had to get some matchups. We had to make some things happen. And Pryor was one of those where if we went out and didn't get caught in the first period with some garbage and got them kids into a little bit deeper water, we were going to be successful, and we were successful in that sense. Like they had some success in some weights where they got us in trouble with some big moves and won, but other than that, we weathered the storm and we broke them condition wise, and it was a good win to start off the tournament.
To back it up a little bit, so can you explain the coin toss process and how we get to choose how important that is to?
Yeah, so when you start the duel, 14 weights, odd and even. Obviously, your first weight, 106, is if they start at 106. And dual state's different. They draw weights. And the first weight, the first day, was 144, I believe. So they drew 144. That makes it an odd weight. It's number 1, it's odd. And number 2, which would be 150, would be an even weight. So when you go out and you do the coin flip at the beginning, where it's red or green, whichever team gets it, you choose odd or even. If you choose odd, you are the team that has to send out the wrestler first to check into the table. You're the odd weight. You send that wrestler out to check in first. Also in the match, you get the first choice of position when it comes in the second period: top, bottom, neutral, defer. They don't do a traditional coin flip in the duel. They decide it there at the first. If you choose odd, every odd weight, you send the wrestler first, and then you get the choice of the coin flip in the second period. So it's huge in duels when you're trying to get matchups. If another team sends a kid in to check in first, you want to get that matchup. You want to make sure you're odd or even to get that matchup. And what was really, really cool and tremendous is always knowing this as a coach, I studied and did everything I could to be aware of that. But I had other coaches on it this year with you and Nathan Jackson and Coach Strange, and it was tremendous going into dual state to just look at you guys and say, hey, do we need to be odd or even? And you knew it automatically, and I trusted you to the T, and just everything worked out perfect. And that was something that was just big for me as a coach this year, just learning to grow and learning to trust other people and learning to if we're going to branch out and we're going to grow this program to the way we want to grow it, I have to have other people that are hitting on the same level as me, and all my coaches were doing that this year, and that's something that I'm like tremendously proud of. I'm tremendously proud of our success as a program. and how all of our kids did individually this year, but like the growth I saw as men, as far as like you and Coach Jackson, Coach Baker, Coach Strange, Isaac Garrett, just every person that was instrumental in our junior high and high school program, and not to mention our youth coaches, just to see the growth as men was really, really cool for me.
So like the night before we wrestled Collinsville, which was our semifinals match, I was talking to Coach Strange about some stuff that I was thinking would work as far as, just going through videos. And I'd realized at that point that Strange was about 3 steps ahead of me on that. He had already had this stuff, and I thought I was about to give him some information, and he was already all over it, right?
Yeah.
And so at that point, I just started watching videos, and I tried to stay 2 matches ahead of him. That's what I did.
That's cool, man. When that's something I feel so special about, because he's like a direct disciple of me. I feel like he wrestled for me. He's been coaching for me now for like 5 years. I mean, he's a tremendous young man, and when he can push you as another like coach to be like, dang, I need to step my game up. I need to study these kids. I need to study these lineups, and that's cool, because that just shows me how disciplined he is too. He's freaking studying to be a doctor right now. His last year of school, and he's a tremendous young man that we're just fortunate to have here coaching.
So going back to Collinsville, they're the defending state champions, correct?
Yes.
So we got them our semifinals match. We go to the coin toss. We win the coin toss again.
Yep.
And then, we handled business.
That was huge, the coin toss was, because they could have got matchups in that duel that we needed, that they would have been favored in, and we would have had to wrestle better, and do I think we would have? Yeah, I think we would have, because I think my kids were really, really dialed in that weekend. I think no matter what, we would have found a way to win that duel, but just things worked out, and the kids went out and took care of business. And I don't know, the kids really, we took it personal going into the Collinsville duel too, just because, I don't know, we felt like we weren't getting a lot of respect from them or anybody on the east side, just because, they were saying, oh, Elgin's, they're kind of hit and miss, and 5A's down, and we're down, so we're kind of lucky to be here. And I mean, I don't really buy into that crap. It's their responsibility just as much as it is mine every single year to put a product out there, and it doesn't matter who's there, who's not there. Kids graduate, kids leave, kids don't want to wrestle for you. It is what it is when it comes to that aspect of it. And I'll never disrespect the class by saying it's down, or saying that we're down and we're lucky to be there. Like every single year, it's bring it. And if you're not bringing it, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? This is 100%. Something that we take so serious, and I take so serious, my family takes so serious, just because when it's wrestling season, it's wrestling season. We're doing everything right. We're really trying to make a difference in every single kid in this program's life. And I think we did that this year in a lot of different ways. And it's not just from the success level. The people say, oh, now it's easy to say that you guys are having success. And yeah, I mean, we're having success, but we still go through a lot of hard times here as a program and as growing as individuals. And that'll just moving down the road, talking about that, they don't see the highs and lows that us as a coaching staff goes through. We won dual state, and then the very next day, I'm at a girls' seating meeting, which is what I love doing. And then, and I mean that. And then Monday and Tuesday we're at girls' regionals, and Tuesday I get my heart ripped out by one of the girls, Carly, not qualifying, and it gives you the highs of winning a state championship, and then the lows of seeing someone train harder than anybody in the whole entire single program and watch them not fulfill their dreams. And the way it just was handled was terribly. I thought I thought just it was a whole bad situation. I'm not going to give any excuses of why she lost the match, but she's a really, really good wrestler that did not make it to state. And no matter what happened that weekend before that dual state, I'm going to treasure it forever. But like, I'll remember that moment, her not fulfilling her dream in that hall, and it's shattering as a coach. Like, people don't see that. And that's what you sign up for, but it's also like, it sucks. It sucks. And I mean, I saw it with Hunter Jackson. I mean, people don't see that crap in there. And it just, you see it with Chanel. I mean, she lost a heartbreaker in the semis where I felt like it just maybe got the raw end of the deal. It is what it is. Like, you have your highs, but there's always going to be things that balance you out as far as a wrestling coach and then as a program.
So moving on. So we beat Collinsville, defending state champions.
Boy, I went way off subject there.
That's all good. We can fix it.
Yeah.
No, I mean, even that, I mean, that's good. 'Cause I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. So I think that's very important. You know,
Yeah.
whether they hear it now or they hear it later, either
Yeah.
way is important.
It's
But
good to get it out there. Like, I want people to realize, like, we have this success and you see us celebrating it, but man, there's been a lot put into it, and there's still a lot put into it every single day. And this has done nothing but ignite a whole new fire underneath me, and I see it in my coaches, and I see it in our kids. Like, it's great. It's great. We walk around different. We are handling ourselves different, and that's just the way it should be. You know, that's the way we have been handling ourselves. It's just some success really helps ignite that as a whole and as a whole community, you know, and that's what we want for our community. We talked about it in our previous podcast. You know, we want our community to be on fire, to be a champions community, and that's where we're headed.
so moving on. So we beat Collinsville. So now we're heading into the finals. What's your concerns going into the finals?
Man, we tried to go to, I think it was Jimmy John's, and they were out of bread. So I was like super concerned about that, because like, if
That was a bad omen, dog.
I know, and if you know my dudes and like my bigger weights, some dudes got to eat constantly, and so we go in there, I unload the whole crew, and I slowly see cowboy hats collecting as we go in there, and I'm like, all right, boys. Like, first it was just Bryce and Nino. I was like, all right, that's cute. Like, you know, I can rock them cowboy hats, and then they slowly start collecting, and about 10 of them have it, and then we end up at Arby's down the road, and I mean, there it is. Every single kid has a cowboy hat on. I'm like, all right, boys, like, it's a bold statement. You wear them cowboy hats, like, this is gonna go one or two ways. Like, you go win in them cowboy hats, or I'm gonna throw them out going down Highway 81 on the way home. And I don't know, man. Like, I felt good. Like, I felt good about where we were, and like, I had like a really like knot in my stomach just because I was like, man, we're here. I don't want to be runner up. Like, the runner up's a bad feeling. Like, I don't know. I just, like, you don't want to be runner up. I don't want to be runner up. I mean, just because like you're so close to your dream, you get right there. Like, let's get it done. Let's just get it done. And the kids saw that, and they took advantage of it. And the coaches were dialed in, Strange and Nate, and you all had game plan already down. I mean, and I just found myself as a coach, like, the more the duels got going, like, the less I had to coach. Like, the more I just had to manage. Like, I just kind of had to make sure everything was going good, and I just enjoyed a lot of it, you know. In that finals duel, we got there, and just kids matched up, and it didn't start out well. Like, Shay lost and got pinned, actually.
Because we started at heavyweight, right?
Started at heavyweight, and we got pinned, and I thought we would lose there, to be honest. I thought we would lose, but I didn't think we'd get pinned. And I was like, oh, man, that's not good. Because, I mean, Shay hadn't been pinned pretty much all year either. And Bryce bounced us back, got a pin, Hunter pinned, and then we just kind of got rolling and ended up winning some crucial matches in the middle, and it kind of locked it up for us, so it was good.
So during that match, there was Hunter Jackson. We could tell by looking at the coaches that we made the decision that they didn't want when we sent Hunter out to wrestle that match.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's what they wanted. Like, most of the teams had seen that they were wrestling a girl there at 113, and
She was a gamer too.
and she was good. Yeah, she was state finalist in the girls. Like, she's really good. And if you hadn't done your research, or like, and a lot of teams aren't fortunate, like something I think that was really good for us is we were deep as a team. Like, we could get 2 or 3 kids in a weight at most weights, you know. And if you're fortunate enough to have like an extra 113 pounder or something, you know, teams would try to throw a lesser kid in against her and be like, oh, it's a girl, you know, and she'd handle business against them. Like, she's good. And So we decided, and like the 120 pounder, we knew he was good too. He ended up beating Hunter in the state finals. You know, we were 1-1 with that kid this year, and so we knew it'd be a match. And we decided just to leave Hunter down on her, and he took care of business and pinned her, which was no task. Like, I mean, no easy task. She's good. Like, she's hard to pin, and he took care of business, and we ended up taking one at 120, and it ended up being a better decision for us, because if we would have went at 113 and took one and then took one at 120, you know, it changes the whole dynamics of things, scoring wise, momentum wise, everything. So like, that's something I was very fortunate for, like Nate Jackson saying that's the move, and we made that move, and we trusted it.
What I was trying to explain to some other people is like, we kind of knew when it was plus and negative, right? What we need to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like once we got to Ritson, I feel like we knew if he won that, and then we had Colin win, I feel like we knew it was good, right? Because we had to win one of them 2 matches by fall, correct?
So when we got down to them, like it was down to Ritson, and it was Ritson and Colin left, and we just needed to win one of them.
Yeah.
And Colin had already pinned the kid that Ritson was wrestling, and the kid that Colin was wrestling was not very good. So like, I felt really good about it. Like, and then when Ritson won, we had it locked up for sure.
Yeah, so we had that. I think, if I remember correctly, we had that backwards, right? We thought Ritson was wrestling the weaker kid, or do we get that? Which
I feel like they ended up making the right decision, because they had 2 of them weighed in at 190, and they already tried the kid at 190 with Colin, and Colin pinned him, so they left him down on Ritson. But it's a double-edged sword there. Ritson state champion, so like,
I feel like they gave
poison right there.
I feel like they gave Ritson.
Fortunate.
Didn't they? I feel like they gave Ritson the tougher kid, but we was telling Ritson that was the weaker kid.
Probably so.
But either way, he still went there and handled business.
He went out there and handled business, and man, it was cool. Like, the ones that were crucial in the middle, that like we knew were toss-ups, were Dominic.
Yep.
Dominic's was huge, and I knew when we won Dominic's, I was like, we're in a position. And then when we won Jack's, I was like, man, I think we did it. Like, I think we did it once we won Jack's, because George, we just, like, he kind of went out there and just wrestled not to get pinned against a kid that wasn't very good, that I felt like we could have beat. And then Jonathan ended up getting beat. And then, like I said, it just came down to that situation where we just had to count on our, like, that's a great situation. 2 of my best kids, a state champion and a 3rd place. I mean, I'm counting on you. Let's go.
Yeah, that's a good way to go out, to have them in your back pocket there at the end.
Yeah.
Now, you talked about, moving on, we ended up winning, right?
Yes.
And you talked about, what went next as far as you going to seating meetings and girls' originals. Now, moving to, speaking of Jonathan, right?
Yeah.
So we're at originals. He pins the number, 1 or 3 seed?
Yeah, someone he's not supposed to.
Yeah, he was getting, he was, I happen to know the kid too.
He's getting beat by 10.
Yeah. I know the kid that, because he's a former Geary kid, and I know him growing up and stuff. Been on some canoe trips with him, this and that, rafting trips. So I kind of know him, have a little history with him. And then, he's beating Jonathan, 10 points. Jonathan comes back and pins him, and I'm pumping the fist, cheering, and I'm like so proud. And I was like, oh man, I kind of feel bad about that. Then I was like, nah, I don't feel that bad. You know what I mean?
Man, like, especially when you see kids like Jonathan, how hard he works, and like, Jonathan is Jonathan, like, he works his butt off, had a tremendous year, like, super proud of him, man. And he got rewarded by like getting 4th, making it to state, like, he's someone that had a great season, almost 30 wins for us, that's insane. Like, you're a 30-win kid, like, you're a good wrestler, when you're 30 wins in a season, you're a good wrestler. Like, I believe so, especially just like in this day and age, like 30 wins in a season's good.
Right.
So, yeah.
What about Shay?
Shay's the same dude. Like, that's a kid that hadn't wrestled since 8th grade, so he's a sophomore now, and came out, won, 25 matches probably for us, 25, 30 matches almost, state qualifier.
Won a match at state.
Won a match at state, like, is right there, and just like decided to come back and wrestle this year, and we had a situation where kid that would normally probably wrestle heavyweight for us, Jace, being injured, and Shay just steps right in and handles business. And that's just a testament to depth around here. Shay's tremendous. He had one of the best seasons just for seeing a kid that just hey, let me get back out here and help the team out, and then took it serious, bought into everything. Dude did everything I told him, fought through an injury this year, an injury that a lot of kids just would have been all right, man, going back to football, it's not really worth it,
right?
And he's nah, I see my team needs me. My team needs a heavyweight. They can win dual state. This is bigger than me,
Yeah.
And that was such a mature move for a 16-year-old kid. And I was very, very just pleased with him this year. Our relationship grew as a coach and as a athlete, and just personally our relationship grew. And those are the things you want as a coach, unexpected kids like that, who, if you would have told me sitting down in our last podcast, say, hey, Shay Spencer is going to come out and be your heavyweight and win a match at state for you this year, I would have looked at you and been what? I mean, that's crazy to think about in July.
Yeah. In
July, because, Jace is still playing, everything's cool. And even to say if Jace is not hurt, Shay might still come out and wrestle. I mean, I don't even know. I don't know how things play out at all. God makes things work in really weird ways.
It does.
But it just say, all right. And that's cool, man. And just, I think we probably had two other kids that we could get ready to go out there and wrestle heavyweight too if we needed to. You know what I'm saying? Just because kids wrestle around here.
Yeah.
They grew up wrestling. We have a tremendous little league presence, and you grew up wrestling. Even if you stopped wrestling, Shay, all right, come back. Let's get a year in, and not every kid's a tremendous athlete like him, and it can do that. And I'm not an advocate for that by any means, but in that situation, I'm an advocate for.
Right.
Advocate for winning a state championship with some athletes, and it's cool, man. That is still a testimony to Nate Jackson and the guys that were in that youth program, starting them little kids up, and I'm glad that I could come in and help facilitate them dudes through those weird 6th, 7th, 8th grade years, because Shay was a very undeveloped 8th grade boy.
Right.
Just a little short, fat kid. And he grew into a tremendous looking athlete already at 16. So just giving them kids a little bit of patience. And even if they don't choose to do your sport at that time, still trying to support them as an athlete, trying to support them as a person. I still coached him in football, still just tried to be there as a coach in general. We don't try to shut other kids down because they're not in your sport. So it was good for him.
100%. You want to talk a little bit about day 2 originals and then go to state, or just go ahead and continue on with state?
We can just roll whatever.
So day 2 originals, how'd that go? Any surprises?
Day 2 at regionals, man, it's just, I gotta think back. Everything was such a just quick turnaround, kind of just going back to dual state. And then I'm not trying to just talk about how busy I am. I want people to realize how busy our coaching staff is and how busy all these other wrestling coaches are around the state. And at least the ones that are doing everything and really giving it all they can. And just the turnaround of going to a seating meeting that Sunday and then going girls regionals on Monday and Tuesday. And then most coaches, I know I am, on Monday and Tuesday, I'm running 2-a-days with my high school kids. My boys, we have to run 2-a-days. Even after winning state that Monday morning, 7 a.m., we have to run that morning because we still have individual goals in mind. And it's hard to redirect them kids, but they did, for the most part, and not even for the most part, they did. They did a great job. And I was worried about that. I didn't want to be that coach that just rode the high of winning dual state and was just all right, good job. I wanted them kids to reach their individual goals as well. And so we trained and we got ready for that Monday and Tuesday, but still we're driving back and forth, coaching staff. Baker's there with the girls on Monday and Tuesday, making sure they're weighed in. Him and Rob are making sure they're fed. And I'm going back from running morning practice to running their coaching girls, running afternoon practice. Strange is helping with afternoon practice. You're helping with junior high. We're doing everything we can right there to just as a program continue going, and then it leads into regionals. Regionals are at Carl Albert. Like we go to that seating meeting in Carl Albert Thursday night. You go up there Friday and Saturday with the boys, and that whole time the girls, the ones that qualified, are having to train still to get ready for state the next week. They're not on the same training schedule, you know? So as a coaching staff, we're still trying to direct them back home, trying to tell them to train, trying to get them on the right schedule for state. And then just it leads into regionals. And regionals, like we had a decent day one, I thought, and actually kind of what was really good was we had a really good first round. And we pushed a lot of kids into the semis, and it gave us a great position on day two to win regionals. And it was just, we put 10 in?
Yeah.
10. See, I can't even. We put 10 in, and I really was excited about that because there's like maybe one or two right there that got in that I didn't think, or I kind of thought that was on the fence. And then there was one that I thought would, that like crushed me. Dittmeyer not getting in, a returning state qualifier that was dang near a state placer the year before, won 30 matches this year, probably won 30 matches last year, like a really, really solid junior, did not qualify, you know, got sixth place, was winning 4-0 in second period, gets thrown to his back and pinned. One of those things where I'm riding the high of, we just won regionals. Like I knew we'd won regionals at that point. We had pretty much 10 qualified right there. I was just like, man, this one's going to be awesome. Dittmeyer's going to hopefully get in right here. And then just got stepped on. I was just like, and that's a gut punch. That's a gut punch because that's a kid that gets to the state tournament and probably wins some matches at the state tournament, right, you know, and could get into his position where maybe places. And then that just changes the whole dynamic. You know, we got third at state. And just when you get to the state tournament, the good kids are the ones that score points for you, you know? And I think he was one of the good kids that just missed out on getting in a tough weight and just missed an opportunity. And, you know, I had the high of like I said, we were regional champs, 10 kids going to state. Let's get this 11th one in, and then crushed. And still to this day, like, that's all cool, but I think about that a lot. I think about Carly not making it to state. I think about those individual goals that were not met. And then I still think about my individual goal that was not met, you know, like I wanted to win the state tournament. Like it hurts to talk about because I wanted to win the state tournament, you know, and I didn't really feel good about it after dual state. Because I was just like, man, it's exactly what I said it is. Your good kids have to win, and you have to score points by winning matches at the state tournament. But then once we did that at regionals, I was like, dude, we have a really good chance. And just didn't quite get it done, and didn't push some kids into the finals that we needed to. And Carl Albert, just hats off to them, man. They put the 4 kids in the finals that they needed to, you know, and we couldn't get the 4 in that we needed to. And at the end of the day, it is what it is. And I will learn from that as a coach. I will use that as motivation, and I'll move forward, you know, just because, like, I'm thrilled to be a state champion, to win dual state this year. But, yeah, like, I needed that little extra kick in the ass right there at the end to be like, all right, there's still something to do, you know, there's still something to do. And we'll take some time. Like I've taken time, reflected on it, and we'll just be ready to go again.
Like biggest upsets when it comes to state, you know, when Chanel's the first one to come to my mind. She lost in semis.
Yeah, and it wasn't truly an upset just because that girl had beat us twice.
I thought she started off pretty good, though.
Yeah, you know, and dude, I thought we kind of got like a call that didn't go our way, and I don't know. I mean, the girl was good. That one hurt. Dominic's I thought was huge, man. Dominic's was probably the one at state that sticks out to me the most.
He lost 2 close matches, right?
Yeah, and you know, and it ended up like as a kid that had a tremendous season, beat some high level kids, just did not end it well, you know, and that sucks because like probably is the hardest working kid I've ever had when it comes to just like getting to work. And I only had him for a short time, you know, less than a year. And like when it comes to getting to work, the boy came in here and got to work, and just in the semis had like a little lapse in like his mental, and got caught in a big move and beat by a kid that we should have beat. We were up on. And just for third and fourth, you know, we were wrestling a kid for the third time. We'd beat twice, and it's hard to beat him third time, you know, and it ends up you get beat for third and fourth. That kid all states over you, you know,
Yeah.
he's the kid. And that sucks, man. That like tremendously sucks because that's a kid that like, without Dominic, we don't win a state championship this year. You know, like he's tremendous for us. You know, and I don't want to say that to discredit my other team. We might have found a way. Like I believe we would have found a way to still win a state championship because even without other kids, we found ways to win this year. And no matter what, I want that to be our mindset with anything. We're going to find a way no matter what happens. We could come back with none of our kids from next year. We're going to compete for a state championship. That's our mindset. Wipe everything clean, go compete for a state championship. And that's the mindset we took in football. We're going to take in every single sport here. Like we're competing at the highest level no matter what.
Earlier when I said upset, I meant more heartbreak. You know what I mean? Callous into that, it was the Hunter Jackson match.
Yeah, dude, that one crushes, man. That crushes because like that's hard for me as a coach because like as a wrestler in the state finals, I never lost like one of them. Not even like not trying to talk about my old ways or anything, but like I never experienced a loss in the state finals. Like that runner-up thing was like something that scared me to death, you know, just because like I knew how crushing it could be as an athlete. And feeling it as a coach, it was really, really devastating as well, just because like I knew how hard Hunter worked. Like he's at this gym Sunday mornings, 9 a.m. after winning a tournament Saturday night, you know, like he's a humble kid that did every single thing right as far as preparation. Just it just didn't get done. And it's hard as a coach to go in there and redirect a kid that's devastated off of that. And they've done everything you've asked of them, and then you still have to tell them to move forward as an athlete and as a person, and that's hard. And Hunter and I were able to communicate and get through that, you know, and that's something he'll have to deal with as an athlete and as a person. You know, I can't really help him get over that. That's a loss that's going to hurt, and I know what helps losses like that, and that's going and having some success, and that's what's great for him is like he has a great future ahead of him, you know, and he should just use this as fuel and as motivation. I know he will, and I know he's going to bounce back. He's already in here training, getting better, you know, and that's just something like first thing I told him when I went in there as a coach, you know, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind like me telling this because I hope like a lot of people can heed this advice. Like I was like, Hunter, dude, I don't know what it is. And like, I know you can't see it right here, but like at some point this is going to help you later in life get through something that's really, really hard. And I mean, I don't wish like for hard things later in life, but we all know like something's going to test you as an adult or as an adolescent. And I hope he looks back at his mindset, like, and how he comes through this right here and how he develops as a wrestler and as a human and uses it as strength and motivation. Because I know, like, even looking back at my wrestling career and looking back at training times, like, I use hard times as meters and as gauges of what's really going on in my life, you know, compared to situations growing as an athlete and what wrestling taught me, you know. So in the end, Hunter Jackson is going to be all right. You know, he's going to train, he's going to come back and do something extremely special with this when it's all said and done. And, you know, shoot, he's a sophomore, he's two-time state placer, third, second, you know, like I love him. He's a true product of Elgin wrestling. He's a true product of like a kid that's came through this room, and it's just it's good to see. And he, like I said, no matter what happens, he's going to be successful. He's going to go wrestle in college. He's going to be wrestling probably this weekend, in the future here in 3 or 4 years, you know. And that's what, like, I hope me and Nate are sitting there watching him, you know, hanging out. Like, that's what's going to be really cool. And he'll be like, dude, remember when Hunter lost that state championship and I wanted to jump off the rafters of the state tournament? And I know he did, man. I know he did. And I haven't even like talked to him about it and like sit down and like really got into about it, just because like I know things like that are devastating. And just the way and the things that have been devastating in my life, like looking back, like I know I can look back like a year ago and just look at things that were like devastating to me and just be like, all right, man, like we're going to be all right. We're going to get through this. That was a little patch that was not good, and we didn't reach what we wanted. But if anything, wrestling's taught us we're going to be resilient and we're going to persevere through all these things.
Hey, man. Speaking of, Hunter's history, Chanel ended up taking third. Then you got Bryce Martin.
Yeah.
As a freshman, he got third.
And that's one, like, man, I know you're probably getting on something, but, like, that needs to be talked about, like, tremendously. Like, we don't have the state tournament we have. And he's one I didn't, like, at the first year I talked, I was like, Bryce be a state placer. Bryce be a state placer. And I meant it. And, like, I told him that, like, all those mornings we were running and doing all those things, trying to make weight. And just to go have the state tournament and, like, all the things we spoke and we envisioned for Bryce, as like, I know me personally and as a coaching staff and as a program, we envisioned him doing all these things. We spoke like all of him doing these things, and then he went and did them right in front of our eyes. Like we stayed up late, 1 o'clock in the morning cutting weight, up at 5 o'clock in the morning cutting weight with him. I'm about to go crazy with all that. And all the times we were running, doing 2-a-days in the morning, we talk about winning a big match in overtime. He gets there in the consolation semis, runs back to the line, blasts a kid off his feet in overtime and wins. Like we envisioned that in practice. I can't tell you how many times we sit here and we had that scenario in practice, and I had to force him to do it. And like had to make him do it because he's cutting weight and pouting through it. And he got up and he did it. And then when it came to a match, it was the easiest thing in the world. Like the dude didn't even know what tired meant. He got on that line, and I knew I could say with any confidence in me, I said, Bryce Martin's about to blow this kid off his freaking feet. And he did. Blew him off his feet, took him down, got in for the 3rd and 4th place match. And I was like, all right, dude, let's go. That's awesome. Like, and then wins the 3rd place match. Yeah. Like, dude's a dog. That's a great state tournament. Like, and he put in a lot of work for it. And it was cool. It was just one of them things I talk about, like you envision, you speak on it, you practice it, you see it in practice, you envision it, and then it comes to fruition. And when the kids start seeing that, and they start seeing that, like, the game plan's paying off, and like, all right, coach is not absolutely crazy, like, that's when your program can really start catching fire.
Yeah, me and we got to state. I was talking to Hardell a little bit, and he was like, "Man, is that little 106?" Because Hardell Moore, coach of OWA, he was announcing our dual state tournament, which is really neat. He didn't do the 5A at state. I believe he did 6A, correct?
I think so.
But just the fact before they even started, he asked me, "Hey, how's us 106 pounder doing?" He was talking about Bryce Martin. He said, "Ain't nobody can stop that blast double."
Dude, yeah.
I was like, "Yeah," but I got into a conversation with him though. I was like, "Yeah, man, he's a hell of a kid. He kind of scared us a little bit at regionals, because he showed up a little bit overweight."
Yeah, man. That's like also I didn't even speak on that. Like we're freaking all making weight at regionals, about to make me lose my mind. I'm ruining people's breakfast at the Spring Hill Suites, man. I'm in there ruining breakfast for all them old people.
Oh, what I thought was really neat about that though is athletes are gonna be athletes. Iron sharpen iron. And then Bryce and Hunter are two people that have the opportunity to practice to each other. Especially Bryce is kind of following Hunter Jackson's footsteps if you look at it. But at regionals, Hunter Jackson was one of the main kids that was running with Bryce Martin there to make sure he had weight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
I thought that was he knew that he needed that little extra help.
Hunter knew, like, he was cutting weight, he was hurting, but he was like, man, I still like. He grabbed Bryce and ran around the room for 45 minutes with him because he knew Bryce needed that, and like he knew his team needed that, and if you don't do that, Bryce probably don't make weight. Don't go get third at state. We don't finish. No, we don't win regionals. We don't get third. Like little selfless sacrifices, and those are just things that are like when I talk about Hunter Jackson, like I don't care if he's not a state champion. He's a state champion kid. Like he's a top caliber kid, and like he's a great friend to Bryce, and it worked out great. And needless to say, 2 days before the state tournament, they're in here trying to rip each other's heads off. They're in here just going at it. Like physically, I have to separate them because they're trying to kill each other. Just that competitive edge, that was what we had. A great room like that this year where, man, these kids loved each other and they go to war for each other. But like when it was time to hook it up in here, like I said, man, it's 2 days for the state tournament, and they're trying to kill each other. And it's just that was something that really kept me on my toes there.
All right, so the state tournament. We got 2 wrestlers wrestling for first place in the finals. You know, we got Ritson Myers, a freshman, Symphony Velos. She won it last year, got third the year before. Her dad's in the corner this year. What's that like?
I mean, I had not sit down and like looked at were they going to come up at the same time until like halfway through the finals, and then I was like, oh crap, this is really going to happen. And then looked at it, and just fortunately we have big enough staff. You know, I say staff. You know, a lot of people are in here doing things for free, which is just, I mean, so much appreciated with our awesome staff that we have here. But you know, we had enough of us with myself, Coach Baker, Coach Strange, Coach Velos, Coach Bean. Well, that's 5 of us there. We had in the corner, you know, and me and Coach Baker sat in Ritson's corner. And then, just fortunately, the mats were next to each other, and we were able to take the corner of each mats where we were next to each other. So me and Coach Baker sat in a corner. It was Coach Velos sitting there in kind of the camera corner, and it was you and Coach Strange in a corner, which was awesome. Like, there's some awesome pictures and video footage of us as a coaching staff getting to coach 2 state finals at once. And yeah, it was awesome. Just trying to give my attention to both matches. Coach Baker, I can speak on it too, but I mean, I know I was really trying to do my best to be involved in both matches as much as possible. And like, I believe a lot in just like destiny and like seeing things happen before. And I swear to you, I sat on the wall and I was super disappointed. Like, I went out in the parking lot and sat there probably for 30 minutes after Hunter lost, just because I was really disappointed after that. I just kind of sat there and I saw, man, wouldn't it be cool if I had 2 state champions at one time? That would kind of not make up, but that would like shine on things a little bit. And then it went out there and it happened, and like there was breaks in both of the matches at exactly the perfect time, like injury time at a good time where I could go talk to Symphony, like a time where the ref was doing something and talking to the other coach and I could go talk to Ritson. You know, like everything worked out well. Like all the coaches were hitting well in that corner. Me and Strange were able to communicate in between periods about what to do, because like positioning in Symphony's match was huge. Like going down in the 3rd period, it was a big choice for us. So me and him were able to communicate about that. Coach Baker was able to go out there because Ritson's match was like extremely heated. Like they were almost fighting to a point where a penalty point was huge and won that match for us, you know, because of some unnecessary roughness. And so Coach Baker's out there trying to keep Ritson together and just trying to manage both of them was awesome.
You want to touch on that, Coach Baker?
Yeah, it's just with just the ability. I knew, you know, that Coach Rowell was going to be back and forth. Just you know, that's who he is. And both of those matches were huge, facing obviously a state final, so they're all tough. But like both those people, Ritson was wrestling a really tough, you know, return state placer. Symphony had a super tough match, and so you know, I just tried to. I remember saying something to Symphony before the match, and then I had to go back like the next day and watch her match because I was so intently trying to stay focused on Ritson so that, you know, Coach Rowell could bounce back and forth and I keep him informed of what's going on over there on our mat and, you know, when he's broke away. So just, and I think also, you know, good relationship with Ritson, so being able to handle him in that situation, I think was, you know, beneficial with how it all shaped out. And it's just awesome, you know, awesome time right there, those 2 mats.
That's what a lot of people don't see, like in the wrestling dynamics, is like there's certain people that coach certain people extremely well, you know, and like not coach them well because we all kind of coach on the same level, I feel like, but you connect with that kid better than anybody else. They're comfortable. You can calm that kid down. They know just by looking at you. And like Coach Baker has that with, you know, a ton of kids, and Ritson's one of them, fortunately, you know. And then I feel like you click with Symphony well, Strange clicks with Symphony well, and like of course her dad over there, like that's awesome. But like that's a testament to our coaching staff. Like everybody knew what their focus was for those matches, you know. Like you knew what you were hitting on, and it was cool. It was something that, like, as a coaching staff, you don't sit down and prepare for that, you know. We don't draw that up on Tuesday and say this is what happens, but we all sit there, talked about it before, got it worked out, and just everybody's ableness to like remain calm out there too, because like that's a big moment. Like people don't understand until you really look up in the stands and take in everything. Like there's a lot of people up there watching what's going on, and all your season's work is accumulated into one match with a couple of kids. So you just really try to make sure you're hitting on all cylinders, and I feel like we did as a coaching staff. That was like super cool, and something that like I remember we all got together afterwards, and I was like, dude, that's something I'm gonna remember forever as far as my like coaching career, and I hope it's something that they do and we got to like cherish as a coaching staff. It was cool.
I personally don't think I didn't take in the moment or realize see how important it was until afterwards when we got that picture of us all sitting there coaching in the corner at the same time. I was like, oh crap, that's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's something that I really tried to do, and my wife was good about reminding me, because I get into just grumpy old man mode a lot, but she's like, hey, make sure you take in everything. And that's true, because like we might not ever be in that position ever again, especially that one we were in. So it was cool.
Moving on a little bit, I want to talk a little more about Rich and being a freshman. You talk a little bit of how how important that is.
Yeah, I mean, I said it last year. I talked to him. I talked to his father. I talked to anybody that would listen to me. I said, hey, dude can win it next year. I said he can come in and win it as a freshman. And really just everybody listened to me. They knew Ritson was good coming in, junior high state champion. They knew he's solid. He's a freak out there in football. He's a freak in baseball. He's great at everything. He's a great kid. And it really didn't like hit home in wrestling until like the kid ended up beating the state finals. We beat earlier in the year at Carl Albert, and he got like ranked number 1 in the class, and everybody's like, all right, Ritson can win it this year. And then like he went on the crazy streak of like won kids state, won USA state, which is a version of the 15U state. He won that, and then he won OK USA state, which is another 15U state. He won junior high state, and then he won high school state, all like in a month span right there, which is cool. It's a lot of wrestling. That's the gamut. That dude ran the gamut. Like,
it's a heck of a run.
Yeah, but or not. He didn't win OK USA, did he?
No, he won. He won OK USA state. He won that.
OK USA, not OKWA. He won. So he won 15U. He won junior high state, and he won high school state, which is like that's cool. Junior high state, especially like. A lot of people don't realize how hard that son of a gun is in that junior high division. I mean, that's 90 kids in a bracket, but you got to go out and hammer through 7 or 8 good matches to get in the finals and win that bracket. And he did it with ease, kind of. Yeah. But yeah, like keeping on to that, once we got in, we won that, he got ranked number 1. That's when like he like started kind of lighting up a little bit, was like, dude, I really can do this. And trained hard, did everything right in 2-a-days, listened to us, and which, I mean, he's hard to coach sometimes, being a kid that's like that and just strong-willed, and that's not a bad thing. It's not bad to be a strong-willed kid and to have those qualities that he has, and to push back sometimes. Like I can accept that as a wrestling coach, because it's never out of disrespect. I don't feel like it's just a kid that needs to push those boundaries sometimes, and we do a good job as a coaching staff, allowing that to happen and getting him back on the right path. But man, he started doing everything right, started really buying in and believing, and it paid off for him. He wrestled the perfect match that he needed to in the finals to win that, and a kid that had a game plan to come in and try to shake our head up, which could have went sour for us, just if we weren't strong-minded and if we didn't do everything right. But we held true to it, and it's just cool to see your training pay off. Like all the things that we preach to him, like if you stay strong-minded, if you do these things right, if you don't let little things upset you in matches, you'll be a state champion. And then he did that, and then he was a state champion. That's kind of where we hit on. Like when kids start seeing things in your program, like they start seeing practice, or they see your dreams and goals put into a practice, and then that turns into actual results. That's when your program can catch fire. Kids start seeing that, and we kind of got that going in a lot of different programs here.
Yeah. I just, his progression through the year, and it's just super impressed with him in the finals match. There was some pushing and shoving and some things that trying to get us rattled, trying to get us, not thinking clearly and worrying about extracurricular stuff instead of the match. And at times early on, he showed to let that kind of stuff bother him a little bit, and just his ability to grow through the year to where in the state finals that wasn't, that it didn't become an issue, and he stayed calm, he stayed true to what he was trying to do in that match, and again came out and won a tough, state finals match against a return state placer. So he's a special athlete, and I think that's what, as coaches, that we have to battle with him is that when he walks in this room, he's the best, or one of the best guys in this room, is to try to get him to realize he's not pushing to be the best in this room. He's pushing to be the best in every room in the state. And so that he doesn't get complacent and continues to grow. Like there's been 45, 46, 4-time state champions.
Yeah.
And he's got that opportunity. And so now we thought the work started with this first one, and now it really starts, because now it's, can I go accomplish this? And then to do that, I got to win it as a sophomore. So am I doing what I've got to do to continue to grow and improve? Because all those guys he beat are growing and improving. And so are we keeping pace? Are we pushing the pace on that to stay where we're at the top? I think that's the challenge going forward with him.
Cody, you want to talk a little bit about next season?
Man, I want to have like a really good like freestyle season. I want to have a good off season. Like last year, something I think that was really, really good for us. And it's like we don't have to send kids to all these places. We don't have to go to a lot of camps. We don't need to go and do all these national teams with every single kid. Like it doesn't have to do that for your program to catch fire. But what you do need to do is you need to have a solid freestyle program, and that's what I want for us. Like I want to be consistent 2 times a week, 3 times a week, whatever we're doing, being in this room, making sure kids are practicing and competing and just getting better. And that's not a problem usually, and I don't see it being a problem. We're going to have kids in here working and competing at all age levels, which is cool about our freestyle practices too. Like there'll be 7-year-olds, my boy will be in here, all the way up to our kids that have already graduated, that are going to college and wrestling, and we'll have great spring and summer, and then my mind kind of starts focusing on football. Like I go into spring football with Coach Bake and everybody else. And then during the summer, like I still do wrestling stuff. We'll have our wrestling camps, and we'll have the Battle in the Wichita is our outdoor tournament. But then I'm just, Summer Pride, we're lifting weights and running. And most of my kids play football that are wrestling. And that's something that I push really hard. I mean, of course, I would like to say, and there was a point where like I had 4 or 5 kids in off-season wrestling, and everybody played football, and that was just what we did. But as we've grown as a school, I do have kids that come in and like they're just wrestlers, that's all they want to do. They just want to wrestle, and I'm completely fine with that, and I give them an avenue, and not to mention our girls team, like they're not out there playing football, so we'll do some off-season stuff with them, get them ready. But then, like I said, I'm in spring football, summer pride, doing that, getting ready for August. We're hoping to have a good football season. Ritson's freaking good at that too. We have a lot of kids that are in this wrestling room that are really, really good at football, and vice versa. We have a lot of kids that are really, really good at football that are in this wrestling room, and it pays off for both of our programs. And it's like a relationship that, like, when I talk about being at Elgin and why I love being at Elgin, and like what one of the reasons why this is my home and where I want to be, is just because like the relationship we have as a staff and as like a school, and through our administration and everybody, like we're able to share athletes, we're able to get athletes into other sports, we're able to have athletes compete in freestyle throughout the spring and summer, and then still go to football camp and still go to football weights every single morning, make sure they're making their commitments to football, because football is different than wrestling when it comes to like team commitments. You don't work out individually in football. There's a system you have to work on, and like a code you have to buy into a football team, which is like a completely different coaching style. But you just I don't know. Coach Baker probably talk a little more on that.
Tremendously, defensive coordinator. I want all my guys to wrestle, all my football guys to wrestle. That's because I just believe the correlation in what you get from wrestling transfers over. And you look at talk about we got a lot of look, the leading tackler on the football team is a wrestler. The second leading tackler on the football team is a wrestler. The guy that led the team in sacks and tackles for losses is a wrestler. The guy that's the starting safety is a wrestler. All those guys, and it correlates. I think the lessons that you learn in this wrestling room correlating to football, tremendous. Just from even just a mental toughness aspect. On a football team, you walk out there, something happens, there's 10 other guys out there with you. On a wrestling mat, you walk out there, you get beat, you get rolled up. It's just you. There's no one to point a finger at. There's no one to look. And I think that the wrestlers carry that over into football too, and it becomes just a better team aspect. And then I think, football correlates back to that with wrestling as far as like when you look at our run through dual state, just the closeness and the tightness of that team,
That's a good correlation.
Everybody was up on their feet cheering for everybody, and everybody was like invested in everybody's match. And I think that's huge. And we're not even talking about the aspects that the physical aspects that correlate between the two, or just mentally. And so, I'm loving it and can't wait to get these guys back out in football too, and watch them grow there and get ready to go, do it again in wrestling. It's tremendous. It's a grind. It's August to now for all these guys, and the same for us. And so, man, it was a fun grind. It was a fun ride.
It was
sure.
worth it, man. That's something, like I said, I value here, and like I appreciate like our defense coordinators in here grinding with me. Like I said, we're pretty much year round on this grind. We go from one thing to another. We have a little downtime here or there, but as we sit here talking, we got kids coming in here rolling on the day that we ain't got no practice, and they're just in here doing that on their own, like trying to get better. And us as coaches, we're kind of chomping at the bit now too. Like football, them dudes are ready down there. They're ready to get to practice. They saw like the success we have, and that just catches fire. I remember like at the end of football season, like being disappointed with the way things finished, but like there was a fire in me. I was like, dude, we had a good football season. I need to step it up and have a great, wrestling season. And like the kids buy into that, they catch on to that. And I just like, as a school, that's a good thing to start off. Yeah. And like, it's personally great for me, and it's a great investment for me when I'm investing all my time into football, for us to start out with a great football season, because that starts off your whole season, like your whole year on fire, and leads one thing into another. I'm fine getting my football guys late as we need to. I'll take them after the first year, to win a state championship in football. Like, I mean that as a wrestling coach. I really do. Like we can adjust to whatever we need to do if we're out there winning. Like those are good problems to have.
I think that's something too that we still have. Like, we've hit 5A, but we're still kind of a little small school mentality on things. And I want, as a coach, coach football, coach wrestling, I want to go win theirs too. But I want those guys that are my guys in football, my guys in wrestling, to go win a state championship in baseball. Yeah. Those guys in football that go to basketball, I want them to go win in basketball. I want, everything that we do here to be successful, and I want to share athletes. I want multi-sport athletes, no matter what I do, because those guys are competing all the time. I don't care, and they're going to get their weight class and they're going to get all that, but I want my guys to go compete, and it's a different level and it's a different mentality of competing with each sport you go to. Like, it's different, your mentality you got to approach football with as opposed to wrestling. But that just going to compete and learn to compete. Trying to win at everything you do. I think that breeds into a school, can reap benefits beyond athletics, for these young men. So it's huge.
Absolutely. And as coaches, like last thing, like we've done a good job, and I can say this as a whole, like as our Elgin coaching staff, the guys that I work with, like directly, I know at least, do a good job of adapting to kids and doing what we need to to keep kids out. I mean, not to like baby your program or to leave kids that don't need to be, but to keep kids in the program that need to be, and to adapt to kids' needs for whatever sport you're coaching. You know, football's different than your wrestling coaching, like we talked about, and vice versa. We support them, and I talked about earlier, loving on athletes that aren't your athletes, you know, necessarily. You know, I'm supporting kids that just play basketball. If you're just a golfer, if you're in band, like I want you, if you're in the choir, I want us to be the best freaking choir, you know. If it has Elgin on it, we want to be good.
Yeah.
Cody, earlier you told the team something that you told your son after he won his state championship. What was that?
Back to work. Yeah, back to work. I mean, and like I meant it with him, like, because like I want Waylon to like celebrate that, and I want him to be happy about his state championship, but like by no means like that like Little League state championship. Like I don't want that to be like a top goal, you know, because it's not. Like I want him just to want to get better at wrestling. And like he told me something really cool, and I just took him home like 30 minutes ago because he went to the NCAAs this weekend. He said, "Dad, I want to be an NCAA champ." I said, "All right then, son." I was like, oh, I want to jump out the car. I was ready to run and like start training right there. But like that was cool to hear, you know, like he went and saw that and like kind of saw a bigger goal. And yeah, next year he'll want to try to go win another youth state championship. But if he doesn't, like he saw Spencer Lee lose this year. He saw some kids lose that have won before, and how not necessarily Spencer Lee. That wasn't great the way he came back and didn't wrestle, but like he saw kids that like have lost before, like come back and have success in the finals, you know. And there's several examples I won't get into, but just like how the progression of the sport goes, you know. If you saw anything this year, like there were 2 and 3 and multiple time champions, repeat champions that didn't win championships this year. Like there's always going to be a young gun coming up and aiming for you. And you don't necessarily see that at like the youth age, because like maturity doesn't like allow that to happen, you know, just because you always, if you're bigger, you're older, you're punking on the kid a little bit younger than you. And even into high school, like that works. Like 18-year-olds are usually punking on your 14-year-old kids, you know. But college kind of evens that out a little bit. Once you get above 18, 19, everybody's maturity level kind of levels out like under 30, you know. So you start seeing an even playing field. So like I'm trying to teach him that a little bit, like the age thing doesn't matter, you know, the gap doesn't matter, just the improvement is kind of what's important, you know. So
I was kind of bringing up kids and stuff, just, you know, that's the great thing about here, and the people I work with, like with Coach Rowell, and even over there, just having my son and, you know, my youngest son, he's not great at anything right now, but just having him around it and being interested in watching. We have such great kids right now that I loved having them around there. You know, at state tournament, I got, you know, he sat up there and watched Colin lose, you know, his semifinal match and was devastated. And then I got to bring him, him down, let him sit in the corner and watch Colin wrestle in the consos. And you know, that was a huge thing for him. It's just something to test to the people we work with here, you know, just being able to do that and feeling good about having your own kids around and in your program or in the programs here. I think it's just something that our head coaches at this school do this great job with our youth, and, you know, the kids are kind of, you know, that we give up a lot with our own kids to do this, so being able to have that benefit, I think is huge.
Yeah, that's what's awesome about our school, man. Like I love like still the small, like my son goes to school, you know, literally, you know, 20 yards from where I teach every day, you know, same Coach Bake. Like that's an awesome aspect of our school. Administration's great on that, you know, like they're good with letting us be involved with our youth and just us as coaching staff, and as like we try to make time to be involved with our youth sports, and having kids involved in there helps out a lot. But like we have a lot of people that don't have kids involved that are still, you know, involved in our youth programs, and they try to give back. And that's not just like adults. We have a lot of kids that come back, and Coach Bake spoke on that a little bit. Like you should see what some of the kids do for our kids. Like not just Coach. I know Coach Bake with his, like with my kids, like they like their birthdays, they're getting them Pokemon cards. You know, they're coming to watch my kids wrestle. They are, you know, coming to my kids' stuff at school, asking my kids how their day is. Like that's the type of stuff that's invaluable. Like like the value of that I can't describe to you. You know, so like that's the type of thing that keeps me like loving this school and wants to invest in this school and want to like re-energizes me as a coach when you see that, you know, like that makes me want to get up and go to work every day because like you see your kids getting that love back from what you put into it, you know.
Yeah, that's one thing that you really opened my eyes to these past couple of years is not only, you know, teaching the kids, you know, the fundamentals of wrestling, but showing them why, you know, little league kids, bring them to the high school dual tournaments, you know, showing them why, what they have to look forward to, you know, coming up.
Yeah, that's cool. Like, I mean, it was really cool. Like, I remember back to dual state, like seeing a bunch of kids in the stands that were youth wrestlers, but then some that were like not even like wrestlers, like kids that just came because it was cool to come watch Elgin wrestle and like do something big. And that's like I said, I know our youth's like going in the right way when that's where they're coming. That's what they're coming to do. And like some advice to like youth programs, like I would really give out, and something we started doing a few years ago. When you have a home duel, don't have youth practice that night. Have your kids just come to that home duel. Like that is, you'll get more value out of that than anything. And that's cool. Just because like our kids have seen that progression, and like your Brody D, who I feel like has been here for 50 freaking years. Mm-hmm. Like the reasons why is because since he was in first grade, he's been down there at them duels and like watching them. And now that he's in seventh grade, it's like Brody's ready to go. Like seventh grade, he's out there ripping heads off because he's been at them duels since he was in diapers, breaking his arm, making me want to pull my hair out.
And I think that's a testament to our kids too. Like, you got to compliment, yes, our head coach for allowing that to happen, but that's our kids that they want to be around them. Like I've been at some places before in 18 years of coaching where I don't know that I want my kid hanging around. You know what I'm saying? Some of those guys here, man, shoot, my kids jumped in with one of our high school kids and went to his house and hung out, and you know, that doesn't bother me. And that's a testament to the way our guys respond to those young guys. Not just our young guys watching them thinking they're awesome, which we know all little kids do with the high school kids, but this way our kids interact back with them is just it's tremendous.
Yeah, and like I hope, like, because when I see our kids interact back with like our youth and how they teach them wrestling, I see the good qualities in them, and they speak to these kids. Like I try to speak to them when I'm teaching. You know, it's a little bit different. Like when I'm coaching them in the heat of action, like I'll say some things to these kids they don't need to be saying to these these youth kids. You know, and they do a great job of like having that filter. You know, and like I think that's something that we've taught them that's great. Like there's a time for intensity that me and Coach Bake and the rest of our staff get at these kids and talk to them the way they need to. Not saying we go in there and dog cuss them and degrade them and do these things that you shouldn't do to kids, but like we go in there and like we tell them things that need to be said, and we speak the truth to them, you know, and they don't get offended and they respond back, and that's like good for our program, you know.
So any last words before we get off here, Cody?
First, I want to be like very thankful to everybody that was involved this year, especially like our coaching staff. You know, I feel like I was able to mention everybody with like Coach Baker, Coach Strange, you, Coach Bean, and Coach Jackson, Coach Falos, just everybody that's like bled back into this program as far as like that junior high and high school staff, and then like our youth coaches that were involved, and just everybody that makes the day-to-day happen. And there's like we had moms that were crucial, that helped out, you know, in our junior high and high school. And that, you know, a lot of times I didn't even have to say anything. Things were done. Food was bought. Things were taken care of that need to be taken care of. And, you know, we were fortunate as a club. You know, I'm thankful for our wrestling club and just able to be able to do things we're able to do for our program, you know, to have a community that supports us, not only just by being there for us, but monetarily, you know, that gives to our program. And our kids that work our wrestling tournaments, you know, that's where we raise a lot of our money, where we're able to have things for our kids. You know, during December, in January, we grind pretty hard. We run 2 tournaments in December, and then we run a tournament in January, which is just, you know, where we make our money and where we're able to invest back into these kids. And hopefully send them places throughout the summer. You know, if kids want to go wrestle in Fargo and go wrestle in teams, we can sponsor them and do whatever we need to do. And just want to keep kids involved, not only in that, but make sure in your other sports that, I don't know, parents stay involved with your kids just as much as you do any other sport. It's important. Like if your kid's going to be in another sport, show that sport just as much respect. I feel like that's something that we do a good job here as like a community doing that. It's just it's always good just to make sure everybody's on board with that program.
Amen.
Yes, sir.